Alright, this is going to be a quick one. Yesterday was Valentine's Day, so no hopping on the game after I got off work, so this is a real fast before I go to work in the morning one. It's a UK turn, not a ton to do anyways. But Germany round 6, you'll see he didn't do any combats. He just bought 5 infantry, 2 artilleries, 2 bombers, so he's starting the bomber stack, which I knew was going to eventually start coming. And he transported all his units up to here, which a little surprised. I thought he'd continue to just go ahead and start funneling it into Africa. So that means I can give him a 50-50 on Moscow, and I'm going to offer that to him for G7. G8 is pretty much unstoppable, right? 50-50 on G7, and then G8, he's going to be able to build 4 more units here. He's going to be able to bring these 4 units in. He'll be able to build 2 more bombers, and probably, you could throw a tank in here and stack something in here. So he's going to have ultimately 10 to 11 units he could add. Best case I could do is get this US fighter in and 2 more UK fighters that I would build, and then they'll be able to build because he's only going to get 2 units, an AA and an infantry. So, I mean, in that case, it's just a matter of I'd be able to add 5 units. He's adding 10 to 11. It's already a 50-50. I did a real fast. I didn't look at it too close, but I think it'd give him like an 85 to 90% shot. So I'll probably be abandoning on Russia 8. I'll be abandoning it, which I can't complain about that. The good news with him pulling out, that does gives me a little bit more time, and he pulled out of Persia. That gives me a little bit more time to develop the U.S. down here. I don't want Japan to take India. I mean, I guess I kind of could and kind of don't. I know a lot of people say, oh, it's bad if Japan takes India, but I plan on leaving in Japan a pretty good income source and letting it be a split money. So I'd rather only one of them be able to purchase units on the mainland and have to spend their money accordingly, while I have the Japan C zones, dead zones. I don't want Japan to take India. I want Germany to take it, actually. So, and again, this transport is really going to be kind of useless in the long run. I don't really need him. It'd be nice to grab these 3 guys, but I'm going to use it to kill this guy. Not to mention, I may even drop a US unit in here and block Germany from blitzing while he builds up, and lets me build a couple rounds of at least 1 round of infantry UK units in here, or possibly next turn some UK boats to help defend the sea zones, because obviously I expect this bomber number to grow as time goes on, as well as the Japan fighter numbers. So I'm going to stall India a little bit, at least make Germany take it, and I may even throw a blocker, an American blocker in there. We'll see. So our purchase, we're going to go ahead, buy 3 infantry to throw down here, because again, we want to get as much stacked here, ready to defend this peninsula. Is my main goal. Like I said, my line is to hold on to these 2 and trade this one at best and trade this one at best, and then build to work my way up. So 3 units there and infantry down there. I am still going to go ahead and build 2 fighters here because he may go for the 50-50 and I need to defend my fleets. He does have 3 bombers. If I use UK and US to take these, that's all he's got that can attack here is the 3 bombers. So yeah. All right. Pulling in 33, 34, 30, hope, well, maybe 35. It'd be great if my infantry lived. I don't have to worry about the US part. So we're going to have 34. I'm debating is which one do I take? Do I use US or UK to take the the France there. Not to build. I think I'm going to take France with UK and just take the money build while I can. I think I might at least throw a Japan unit in there. I mean, that's kind of a pointless move, but pointless not to do it, I guess. Maybe he forgets. I mean, I guess maybe he wants... That could be German income, too. He could turn that to German income. I'll do that. That'll give me a 9-pointer if he doesn't move anything in. I don't really need anything more than that, so we'll just do that. Come on, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. Yeah, all right. Yay. It'll be interesting to see what he decides to do with Japan then, if he decides to open that up with Japan or not. We can hang them out here, I guess. We don't want to put them in the firing squad zone. That's all my UK units. That's kind of sad. Trying to create a bit of a dead zone for C-Zone 14 next turn too, if I can. So I want to trap his fleet in. So there we go. Alright, so season ended. We are now carried over into the next season. I did not feel bad about not forfeiting this game. If he had a significant lead, I would have considered forfeiting. However, I just logged in and there's a significant issue. My C-Zone 61 fleet's missing. So he killed 2 fighters, 4 destroyers, and a carrier. He attacked with 6 fighters and only lost 3. He got another better than top 10%, like top 8% result on a sea battle. And that might be the dagger for me. But between that and my UK attacking his Japan fleet, and I lost 4 more fighters. So average battle on 6 fighters attacking my fleet here was that 2 of my fighters should have lived and landed right here where they could have flown into Moscow. Because that's the issue now. Now I don't have anybody flying into Moscow. So that's what should have happened. So now that's a 5-fighter swing, right? His 3 fighters should be dead. I should have 2 fighters on the board. So it's a 5-fighter swing there. And the UK attacking the Japan, remember, I was supposed to have 4 fighters live, and instead they all died, and he's got a carrier and 2 battleships living. So again, there's another 7-ish, 70, 80, I don't even know. A lot of IPC swing. 94 IPC swing there, 60 or 50 IPC swing here, and that's me losing a lot of fighters that were supposed to be going to Moscow. Very frustrating, but
I mean, that's when you live by sea battles, that's what you risk, I guess. I didn't expect him to take the battle. I mean, I guess it was worth a 1 round shot, right, for him, and see what happens. But the fact that he took it tells me that he's probably feeling the pressure a little bit. Anyways, he did not kill this guy, so I don't have to worry about throwing a U.S. guy in there to block Germany. I'm going to go ahead and fly my bomber in here. It reduces, so Moscow, where it was going to be like a 40% shot for him, is now a 75% shot for him. Um, if he decides to go for it. If he waits a turn, he'll have he'll have a 100% shot. But he may, with 9 fighters sitting there, he's probably going to go for it based on everything, all his other actions. I can't imagine him not, and the fact that he set it up, he's got no one else for his transports to go grab. So I can't imagine him not going for it. But 75% odds, average results, and here I go again with saying average results, is that his Air Force lives and only 3 tanks. So imagine all of this ground except for 3 tanks. So he'd be down to 3 tanks, 4 fighters, or excuse me, 4 infantry, 5 infantry, 12 ground units, on the board for Germany. And US, we're going to buy 2 factories, and so they're going to be all set up and ready to roll down here. So, I mean, even with these 2 horrendous sea battles, I still don't feel out of it yet. Although it's going to start heating up as he built 3 bombers there, 3 bombers here. Things are definitely going to start heating up on me, and the kitchen's going to get very hot. So I need to be preparing an Atlantic fleet. I need to continue to build my Pacific fleet. The good news is once I get this, and with my factory going here, is I can keep building units, C units N36 as I need to, as Japan grows and Germany bombers grow. So we're buying 5 infantry. I know I could get 7, but I'm not even going to have the transports for them, and I couldn't build transports in these units. Well, I suppose I could actually, right? I just don't worry about transporting them down. Well, anyways, he's going to go ahead and take Madagascar back because I can go to 32 and not have any threat there. So we'll do that. And 1, 2, 3, we can't put there, but we could actually take 2 infantry out and build a transport here. So I put a transport, put some infantry in here, tuck this transport into the safety of here as well. Bring my guys, bring my fighter. And that'll give me 5 units for my 2 transports. Yeah, I think that's a better go of it. Of course, if I don't build the transport, I can move these 2 infantry over right now, and then be 2 next turn, and I'll be 4 next turn. Yeah, we're going to go with it. We're not going to overthink this. So, these guys can't reach me. Bomber 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 can't reach me. These guys 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they can't reach me, so I can send a naked transport, be safe there. As tempting it is to try to pick off some of these infantry and risk it, I don't think I want to do that. I'm going to give him opportunities. He's only got 5 infantry and 3 guys back here. He's going to want to use these bombers to attack Moscow if he goes for it this turn, so We're going to throw them in there for him. Yeah, I don't think I was thinking about throwing him in there and tempt him with pulling units back, but then it's starting to get to, okay, well, I'll just wait a turn and then take Moscow, because he should get it next turn regardless. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Maybe I will. Yeah, I think I'm gonna give him lots of options and maybe discourage him from taking that one more turn. Letting my guys live. And then I can run and make him chase me and I don't know what. Actually, I don't need the fighter in this grouping, I don't think. 2 destroyers, cruiser, battleship carrier. I mean, that's 5, 6 hit points. His 3 bombers. Yeah, we can go ahead and send the fighter over here just in case we can do something better with him. So with these Japan guys, I gotta pull back. I can't even land into Africa. I could. Do I want to give him another option, right? Throw another transport down here. Give him these to attack. I'm gonna do this. I'm just curious. I mean, it's a play game at this point, so I'm kind of curious. I'm gonna learn about Todestom. We're gonna do some learning for if I ever run into him again. See how he handles it. So what I'm saying is if he sends everything to Moscow right now, he's got a 75% chance to wipe it. He could send a fighter bomber to kill the free transport here. He could send a bomber to kill a free transport here. And he could use his bombers to hit these guys. He could use a transport to come back and drop and kill a tank. But every single one of those units he takes decreases his chances in Moscow. So if he takes the other ones, then it lets Moscow live a turn and lets these units escape. So, what does he value more? We're going to see. Did I move everybody? Didn't forget anybody. Subs. Oh, shoot. We need to get you guys back here. What one has he got coming? 29. That could be a carrier destroyer, 22 sub, carrier destroyer sub. So let's see, carrier destroyer sub would mean what? He's got carrier destroyer sub, a couple fighters, throw in 3 of those guys, 1 of those guys. Don't really got enough to dead zone him. How much do I need? So, changing my mind once again. He's got 3 bombers coming. So yeah, so this gets a little tricky. I think if I do this, then I've only got 3 subs and a fighter that can hit these 2 things, and he could build a carrier, land some fighters on it, a destroyer, and a sub. And that would leave me pretty limited on my attacks. So I could put a couple surface ships in here that he could kill with the bomber, but without a transport, I think he takes that risk just knowing, I mean, how he's played so far. So I'm also giving him a 40% shot on my group here with my plan, I think. So we're going to move the transport to here so he can grab 2 and come to C-Zone 36 next turn. And he's safe here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Can't go anywhere. These guys can't get him. These guys can't get him. So he's safe being up there by himself. We're going to put a transport, 3 units here. He'll grab 2. Transport will grab 1, 1, and then come to 36 next turn, and we'll be bringing everything into 36 next turn. And then I was kind of want to keep a destroy. Yeah, well, we're just going to do that. 1, 2, 3. The fighters can't hit, so 3 bombers can go after my 2 destroyers and a cruiser and wipe them, obviously. Or they could come here. Man. Or do I just let him build and then come re-dead zone it? Oi, decisions. What do I want to do? Well, the subs I do want to stay there. I think I'm going to give him the opportunity to where he can build a unit there and possibly a fleet and possibly live, and then I'll come back up in dead zone, but then that fleet's going to be rolling on out and causing, you know, meeting up with that guy. I don't like it, but I don't see any other choices here right now. So, all right. So he can go 1, 2 and match these 4 coming down versus these guys, which I didn't even really count out the math, but 3 units, 5 units, it's got to be decent. Granted, he's got double hit points on those battleships. All right, there we go. We're just gonna go with it. This is an easy one, at least. Easy turn. So we'll see what he does, see if he goes for Moscow. Alright, so I'm going to post, hopefully I'm going to try this, post a link in the description of this video where I actually talk about this game state and how this transitions into a mid-game, late-game KJF and strategy from both an allies and Axis kind of standpoint. So I'm going to say you can go take a look at that for more of the big arching strategy. I'm just going to dive right on into what we have happened and going on here. So I didn't get the top 10%, but I did get a top 29% result for me, which means he trashed all 5 of his fighters and 1 of his bombers so that 1 tank could live to take Moscow. So, you know, you look at this now, up here in the front, he's got these 5 guys on ground, and then he's got some guys back here, and then he's got his 3 bombers, and then his fleet. And that's all that the Germans left. And this is all the Japan left. Now, that being said, we don't got much more. You know, U.S. has a few troops here in North Africa, scattered around here. But we are set to start our 15 units a turn here. Downside is, you know, or well, on the positive side, I've got Axis splitting their money, right? Rather than Germany getting all of this and taking all this money, I've got the Axis kind of splitting their money. So I'm kind of happy with that. But Japan still has enough. They're going to build 2. They can build 2 bombers a turn. That does not make me happy because he's already got 6 up here, and on the surface I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's a, you know, essentially an even game on surface ships right now. I also, because I needed to protect my transports build, technically he could build, I want to say a carrier, destroyer, sub or something like that this turn, and fly 2 fighters on, and I would not really have it dead zoned. So we're gonna have a little bit of a resurgence of Japan. At least the rest of the fleet's over here. They can't combine in there. I'll be able to tuck these transports into safety. Again, the Thailand build allows me to build so that I'm ready to buy a fighter and whatever else I got to build in order to make it safe versus whatever Japan does. So, I'm not sure how I feel about the board state. I'm not sure who's in the lead right now, to be honest. I don't like the fact that Germany has 3 bombers and Japan has 3 bombers already. On the positive side, I do got 2 carriers in the Atlantic. I'm going to build a 3rd carrier actually this turn, and I've got a carrier battleship over here in the Pacific. Germany's going to build faster, so that's why I need more coverage over here. And so that's why I'm going to build a 3rd carrier. Good news again, because he has no fighters left, it's still not going to take me, even though he just took out Moscow, it's not going to take much for me to dead zone the Baltic. So hopefully going to do that. These bombers can't reach over here as long as I take France, so I only got to protect against 1 bomber to take France here. So that's what we're going to focus in on. I'm hoping that I can draw my defense line at India. So I'm going to actually pull I can't pull both these guys. I was thinking I was going to pull both those guys. I can't pull both those guys. I can only pull one of those guys. So I'm going to pull at least one of them back over here. And so what I'm preparing is Germany 8, right? He's going to have at least 4 infantry, a tank. So he's got 5 units right there. He's got 6, 7, 8 with his bombers. He can build 4 tanks, so he can have 12 plus maybe he builds a bomber or 2 up here as well. So we're looking at, you know, potentially 12 to 13 units facing down India on G9. So that gives me UK 7, UK 8 to build units. So I can build 6, 9. I can pull one over 10. And then that's going to give me, let's see, US 7 and US 8. So US 7, we're going to bring 4, 5, 6. And so anyways, I've lost count there. But hopefully I'm not pulling it all the way out. I'm going to have enough to hold on to India. We shall see. Meanwhile, I want him to either have to build more Air Force and Navy for these guys to survive or kill this. So I'm actually going to move my fleet on into the Mediterranean here, both my UK and my US. And we're either going to get into a build battle with Germany having to focus on Navy, and that means he's not building ground to come down this way, or he's going to have to let me take a shot at his Navy. So, here we go. We're building 5 infantry, 3 for here, 2 for here for my transport. We are going to go ahead and build another carrier with a fighter on it to go into the sea zone here, to protect against the bomber here. And that's what we're going to do. Now, this artillery, he's pretty much a goner, so we're going to make him come back for good use. I wish I could come over here and do a bombard, but you got to bombard from the same sea zone as your transport. So I am not going to bombard. I've debated this move left and right, but you know, one of the moves that Japan can do is it can build an inland factory. They don't really, it's risky to build a factory on the coast because US could potentially take it. So he could build an inland factory, in which case he's going to want a 2 territory. So I'd rather push Japan to building back here than building right up here near the front line. So we're going to go ahead and do this. Plus, I think he'll want to take it with Germany, so maybe that'll distract a couple of his infantry over this direction versus coming all straight into Persia. I think that's all we got attack-wise, right? Yep. You can see, oh, by the way, the one thing I didn't comment on the other one is, you know, you expect the Axis to have stronger attack power at this point. That's why it's important for allies that had the infrastructure and the income to come back in a KJF. So KJF, allies gets well behind in attack power. So if you're watching your attack power in a KJF, don't get too caught up. Now this game is interesting. Our attack power's 177, very low. I mean, we've pretty much wiped each other out at this point. So, in any case, find it interesting. There we go. Now, one thing by coming in here, I'm telegraphing to him that I'm bringing my U.S. Navy in here too, which gives him a little bit of freedom with what he wants to do with these guys. Like, they could come up here to Sea Zone 22 and start creating some harassment, and I can't get back and reach him. But if he does move there, I'll be building some subs on this side of the U.S. since he has no destroyers. I kind of suspect him to keep on coming this way while he's building his Air Force so that he can pick up units and cause havoc on the backside of me And so I got to be building some. I definitely have to be building up my units on this side um, to prepare for them coming around that direction too. Let's see. I think I'm going to take the tank back to here. Leave him in there. In my mind, I was taking them both. I was thinking that was an infantry and a tank when I was pre-planning my move. Go ahead and get these guys over, ready to hopefully be picked up at some point. All right. There's not a whole lot to move. I don't normally see a KJF with this few units at this stage. This is kind of a little bit of an oddity in how this game's played out. If you've been following the game, you've seen some of the craziness that's happened. I do want to do this as fighter before carrier. I know it's a little bit risky, but I don't want him just doing the one bomber and hitting my carrier. So I'm going to hope that fighter can hit back on the first shot. He'll only have a shot at one transport, so I don't know that he'll take that shot, but he's surprised me a couple times already, so I shouldn't say I don't know if he'd do anything. There we go. So here's a closer look at the board currently. You know, I expect more bombers to show up, but the good news is if he's building more bombers and building fighters for his fleet or building a destroyer for his fleet, that's less, you know, infantry and tanks he's building, and that'll make me happy. So I plan on bringing all, including my transports, everything in here to C-Zone 14 next turn. And then, of course, we'll see what. It's gonna get interesting because we got 4 navies and we got the turn order we got to be careful of. Africa, you know, I'm gonna have them protected. That's also if I've got my 4 transports. If I need to pull them out and re-engage them elsewhere in Africa, I can. We're gonna pull the tank back around during US's turn. We're gonna pull this guy back over to C-Zone 36. We pull everything else down into C-Zone 36. Oh, I don't know why I stuck my transport there. Duh. I just sat him out for the Japan to hit. I should have brought him down here where that was a silly mistake. I mean, it's not a big deal other than the fact that I'm not going to be able to grab these guys. Silly mistake, but not a critical mistake because, again, the transport, I don't need that transport necessarily. It was just a kind of a luxury item to be able to use a shoot over here or to sacrifice up this way if I need to and grab these guys. Oh well. Maybe he'll overlook it. I doubt it. He's too good of a player to overlook it. But alright, there we go. This is what we're looking like. Like I said, very low numbers, but he does have 6 bombers on the board. Okay, so we got an interesting situation here in this med, and he moved his Japan fleet up to C-Zone 24, which that indicates to me, at least not for a while, he's not planning on coming and harassing the back door. He plans on harassing the Atlantic with them. So I'm going to need to be mindful of the fact that if he moves them to C-Zone 13, 2 of these fighters could fly over and land there. So these are targeting C-Zone 13 right now. And or, as I'm planning on bringing my Americans in here, if I pull the UK out, he could close the door behind them with Japan fleet and get the Americans stuck inside the med between the 2 fleets here, potentially. So I'm going to need an exit strategy in case I need to pull the UK out, like if he puts a Baltic fleet down, which is a possibility. I do have 3 fighters targeting Sea Zone 5. Or if he puts a destroyer blocker here, there's nothing I can do, but I got to pull out. Whatever. There's many reasons why. And, he builds more bombers, and I can't stay here, so I have to pull out. There's plenty of reasons why I may have to pull the UK out next turn and leave the U.S. sitting there. Now, the U.S. sitting there will be able to move before the German fleet, but again, the Japan fleet is going to be able to sneak in behind us. Now, the 2 fighters flying over isn't a threat. But the or even 3 fighters potentially isn't so much of a threat as much as him putting the fleet behind me is. So I am going to build a couple subs so that I could, if need be, hit the Japan fleet at negative IPC, unfortunately, do a 1-round strafe, and then retreat back to Sea Zone 12. So I'd be able to pull these guys back to Sea Zone 12 and then let UK come in and finish off the Japan fleet based on what they're doing over here. So that's one side of it. The other side of it is I want to be able to get enough pressure to make him have to, if he wants to keep his med fleet, he's going to have to build units. So the very minimum, I want to make him have to build at least the 2 fighters and a destroyer block here, which I could hit with the UK and then have my US ready to go. And they'd be 50-50 if he built 2 fighters, battleship carrier, because I'm going to put a fighter here. There's going to be a fighter on board, and then these 4 units sitting there. I was thinking about having 1 destroyer come up here in case I have to do that hit and retreat, that I could retreat back into here, but I really need that destroyer. I really need this fighter to put as much pressure on Sea Zone 16 as I can. And make him, the more I'm making him spend here, the less he's spending on ground units and bombers. So that's what I'm going to play for. He did buy 2 bombers as expected. He did kill the transport as we expected, and then he moved into these 2. He took the Persia for free and killed my UK guy that had moved up there. So my attempt at limiting the Japan income from those is not going to happen, or the Japan build there isn't going to happen. I was hoping that he'd want to take that for the income for Germany, give Germany a little bit more bias, but this just means it's going to be more of a split German-Japan income. So kind of good for me, but also kind of bad because he'll be able to put a Japan factory up here. Let's see. Yeah, so here we go. So I want to focus on getting this built up as much as possible. Unfortunately, I can't maximize efficiency 100% this turn because of my need to build some subs over here. If it wasn't for the subs, I would be in good shape. But I'm going to have to build the subs. He does have, and I almost goofed here, he does have the 1-2 punch of 2 bombers, 5 bombers, because these guys can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then of course the 5 Japan bombers. So I was just playing on the Japan bombers and almost forgot about these guys. Now the fighters, I'm okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's got no carrier over here to land on, so okay against the fighters. But I gotta prepare for 2 bomber, 5 bomber hit, which basically means I need to have 1 carrier or 1 fighter with my group. It's a little thinner than I necessarily would like, and after watching him take the shots that he's taken, I'm a little bit concerned there. You know what? I want to relook at what the odds on that was real quick here, because it does have me a little bit concerned that I may need to just even back off. I really want to get the infantry loading up, but it's not going to matter if all my transports are sitting at the bottom of the ocean. Let's see. So he would be hitting 2 bombers first, 5 bombers second, And we're talking about having a fighter, a battleship, a carrier, a cruiser, and a couple destroyers. So that gives me a 57%. It gives him a 33% shot. Basically, he has a 33% shot at wiping my fleet. This game is so neck and neck close. I think I gotta give him that, even though I'm gonna have 4 transports sitting there. I don't generally like to give that good of odds with 4 transports sitting there. But, you know, he'll lose most of his bombers and I'll be rebuilding. You know, it's a 33% shot at a negative 25 IPC value. Throw in the 4 transports, it's a basically IPC even shot for him, right? But I'm just, I gotta play how I normally play. Even though he's shown me that he very well may take that shot. If I start playing too conservative and building extra boats first, that's gonna hurt me as well. So I gotta play the odds. So here we go. So we're gonna do 7 infantry, 1 tank. I'm gonna be moving 4 of the infantry off, so that's gonna leave 1 on the islands. That's gonna give me 7 infantry, so I'm gonna have 8 infantry on the islands. I'm building a transport in Sea Zone 36 with my 3 other transports. 4 transports to pick up the 8 guys. Actually, the 1 transport I can build in here so that I can have a man on land already. Because he can't hit here. And that also being here allows me a chance to have an extra guy that transport that could come over to Sea Zone 34 if I wanted to. So anyways, we are building 1 transport. We're building 2 subs for Eastern U.S. And yes, this is a point where you know, a lot of times I'm not a subs in the Atlantic kind of guy, but we got to get as much balance as we can. And you know, I really want to have surface shifts for the bomber builds, but I need to be able to threaten into the med for these guys and these Japan guys. And if these Japan guys go this way, then the subs can just go that way too. The 1 transport, and then I also am building a fighter for coming in here as well. So there's a lot to think about in this turn. I'm going to try, by the way, to remember to do a attack power or war report update, because I know folks like to see that. I don't think I have any attacks to do. No? I could do that 5 attack there, but that's not enough. Even against those 3, I wouldn't be comfortable with that. We could go in there. We're not going to, though. You know, had I been thinking, I could have gone for Corellia, and then I forgot. Again, we had the VC capabilities, but not now. I can only get 2 of them. I need 3. I would need Corellia to do that. And of course, if I took Corellia, that would have alerted him to his Japan to defend. And I really didn't want him having 5 bombers, 3 fighters there, because I didn't have enough to defend 36 in, so all good. But yeah, I hate not attacking anything, but I just don't see anything for me to attack. I mean, I could go backwards too, but I can't get back to where I want my fighter in India, so that
we can potentially attack into there. Yep, alright, well, nothing to attack. So I have enough fleet here to dead zone the C zone, so if he lets me potentially sneak the subs in here, that could be a possibility. Although I think he could transport to C zone 17 and build a defense block, but then I could kill his defense destroyer block, and he has no fighters, so then I'd be able to kill them. So yeah, Suez might be open. So I think I'm gonna pull them on back here, just in case I can sneak through the Suez. All right. I believe that's it. All right. Nothing else to move. These guys are gonna hang tight with me. I mean, I guess I can move these guys, press these guys on up, right? I can always. I'm presuming he's not attack there, but that helps me in case he does something coming down this way. Does a stack here. I can at least attack the land. And I got my transports that'll pull out what I want, so might as well move them on up. Alright. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Can't land anywhere. 1, 2, 3, 4. So safe from bombers. So we're going to put our transport there. We need to make sure we put a fighter there. We'll put a tank in there. Although, I will say putting the tank there does give him kind of a profile battle of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That he could just strike that with all his bombers. This will be a good test to see if he's the type of guy that's going to do that. So he needs 2 for him. 3 for him. I'll give him 4. 2 to pick off from here. That gives me the 4 transports. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Alright. I'm going to pause. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at my spreadsheet, and I'll pull that up in 2 seconds. Well, it'll be a split second for you guys. So here comes my version. Again, I didn't filter it out to make it look easier, but looking at a round by round total unit count, I now have a 4 unit account lead on him, and that's going to come important with what I'm going to talk about in just a minute. IPC value of the units, I've gained 8 from the beginning. Attack power, I've got 1 on him. Defense power, 17 on him. Now you're going to see this is different than what the game calculates, because I'm going to show you the game one too, I believe, or most likely different than what the game calculates. One of those reasons because how I do my artillery counts.
But anyways, and then my attack strength, total defense strength values here. So the big shift from where I had a growing advantage to all of a sudden him having an advantage, and then all of a sudden him having great IPC value was my UK battle getting diced, and then my Japan hitting the US 61 fleet at very positive dice, and then of course it flips back to my value with his getting diced with Germany attacking Moscow. So here's where all that dice comes in. All in all, you look at where we were to where we are. He got the better end of the value of it, but nonetheless, I feel pretty decent about where I'm sitting right now. Looking at specifically, again, of course I had the strong Navy. He's got the strength in Air Force and Army though by a little bit. The Army's small though. Notice the Army force is small. His advantage, 5 units, basically. And again, I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. This is a little more concern, of course, is the Air Force strength, because this is going to become very big. As he starts building more and more bombers, he's going to be getting more and more attack power here. And this is something that we got to keep an eye on. And I got to keep roughly equivalent defensive strength advantage in the Navy versus his Air Force. The other way, more traditional, will pop up the good old war report. So this actually shows us exactly even on attack power. I had my one off. Again, I think that's just because of how I do artillery counts. But notice we're in the late game now, right? He's got Moscow, I've got the Money Islands established, and we're even attack power. This is with his bonus 8 from taking Russia, so really it's a 49 if we're looking at just what his income is. So he's got 49 and 34. So he's bringing in 83 income, and I'm bringing in 100 and whatever, 103 income. So I've got the income advantage going on here right now on an even attack power, and even more so, even with this even attack power and his 5 unit advantage in the ground war, we got to remember he's got 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 Japan infantry that are not in this game. In essence, they're not going to be getting into this game. They're not going to be fighting anywhere. They're not going to be doing anything. I've got my 1 US that's probably going to sit out there, and 4 UK, but that's a 16 unit bias that those reports are showing, because I don't really care about Tokyo. It's not even my goal. It's a if it happens, it's rare and it's not my target. So that's a 16 attack power swing and unit count swing, which means in the important areas I've got advantages, and so that's what I'm going to be leaning on. I've got Army advantage as well as income advantage. Now I just got to be really careful with how I manage my fleets versus his navies. This is where it's going to get interesting. I've never faced this situation, to be honest, in the Mediterranean. This may have been a huge mistake. This may have been a blunder. We'll figure it out. So, fun game. Hope y'all are enjoying, and stay tuned. Alright, so we got some interesting developments here. Germany decided to buy a battleship, destroyer, and 2 fighters, all in that Caucasus Sea Zone, Sea Zone 16. So he's doubling down on his Mediterranean Navy here. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I mean, he only built 3 infantry, and he put those back in Germany. I mean, so he's building no new German ground on the front line, whereas the U.S., we're already getting front line drop-in, and we got India drop-in. I mean, we've got the potential for 11, 13, 16 units that we can be dropping down here right now. Although I'm going to be building some air to help support in here and whatnot, and Navy. It's kind of interesting. So yeah. The big thing I'm looking at right now is the fact that I do not want these two fleets to merge, right? We don't want 3 battleships and 2 carriers getting together. So I need to keep them separate from each other, and I need to keep this fleet contained in the Mediterranean, not let them escape. I don't know that I necessarily need to kill them, although he'll be using those, 4 units at a time to transport to Northern Africa here. So that means Northern Africa is probably, going to be Germany's hands. But hopefully I can control Southern Africa. And with this, we should be able to control India. And maybe before long be able to plug into Persia even potentially too. So that's a very good sign there. So with him doubling down here, it means I'm going to double down some as well. Oh, combats. Let's see. He took Norway, of course. Pretty straightforward. Northwest Europe, France. Pretty straightforward. He lost 2 taking France though, so yay on that. 2 hits. So yeah. So purchase-wise, obviously I want to get 3 for India. I want to get 2 for up here for my boat. I'm going to get 3, get an extra. I'm going to get an artillery in there. That way I can either use infantry, artillery, or 2 infantry, depending on what I got for air support and whatever he puts into here. And meanwhile, we're also going to go ahead and build 2 destroyers and a fighter for my carrier. Guys, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, okay. So it's just the 3 bombers I need to worry about. So I'm going to bring the UK fleet. So what I don't want is him flying the fighters over like I talked about, and US getting pinched in here. So I was going to, pull my UK fleet up to here, but since he bought fleet and I can buy fleet, I don't actually need them to go up there. I can bring them down here to 23 and face down these guys without them being able to catch their fighters over here. So that means we'll block off the Atlantic from Japan. So his other way to connect would be this way, where he could go J8, G9, take both of these, J9, coming into here, and then G10 coming on down into here. So I need to make sure I've got enough air and subs and whatever else I can of US. I believe we'll be able to have 3 subs and 3 fighters. I'm not sure if that's enough. Well, it's probably not enough actually, because he'll be able to fly his Japan fighters down here. So we're gonna have to figure out how to handle the US. But part of that is the fact that I do believe I can set it up so that if Germany comes here on G9, US 9, we should have enough ground and at probably 3 fighters that we should be able to take Egypt back and not let Germany slip through the canal. So yeah, that's where we're at. I just looked at this. So he could have 1 infantry and 8 planes hit down here. I'm gonna put 10 fighters, a tank, and 10 infantry, a tank, and a fighter. I mean, that would be awfully costly for him to do that. So I don't think he'd do something crazy like that. Hopefully he won't do something crazy like that. Alright, we do want to go ahead and just trade this guy. 1, 2, 3, 4. They can still get back down, so I'll do that. almost got half a mind to kind of do that. No, we won't. Kind of want to do the 2 infantry versus 1 infantry 50-50. If I lose one, then okay, I just retreat. I think I'm just, man, because I don't really want him going there, because then he does drop 4. I hate to do it, but I think we're going to do this too. Because, so what I was just saying is about dead zoning Egypt. If I don't kill this guy, he moves the infantry here, and he can drop all 4 units there, and that's going to be a lot harder for me to dead zone. And then he'll be able to escape through there. So I think I hate using when I'm trying to conserve units here right now, but I think I gotta go that way right now. Alright. Hey. Okay. As long as we took it. Alright, this is big. Let's just get it on the first roll. First roll. Alright, good deal. I mean, I hate throwing 3 infantry out there like that are just gonna get murdered, but I need to stall them being able to go through the Suez for a turn. Them to go anywhere. Them going there. That's all I can do, right? I do want to build some more transports, and I thought about, sending this destroyer up here and giving him a positive value battle here with no transports, and building a transport into the second destroyer, but I'd rather keep as much of my fleet together as I can, so give him the negative value battle there. So normally I'm not a proponent of splitting your fleets up, but they're close enough that they're going to converge before, the Germany can escape through there or anything, so. And we should have the Baltic nice and dead zone quite well now. Even these fighters could reach there, so yeah. 7 units hitting there, so we're good. And so now we just got to keep an eye on containing this. And if all I do is give him North Africa, but I keep South Africa, and I keep India and possibly Persia, I'm okay with that. We just got to keep him from escaping and meeting up with these guys. So the U.S. when it comes up to here, I might be getting some bombers or maybe some more subs to be able to slide over. I mean, I got to make sure I keep 62 dead zones, so I got to keep enough in here there, and I also got to protect myself from the 5 bombers and 2 more bombers he's going to build probably, so we're going to have to build boats, and we may actually even have to come out of Zone 36 now that I think about it for a turn, so that I can come to one of these places where I can build more units again. which doesn't bother me too much since he didn't put any German ground down. If I don't put any U.S. ground down, I'm okay with that for a turn. So maybe we'll come over here and get New Guinea for a turn. 1, 2, 3, yeah. So we'll see. All right, well, there we go. All right, so Japan 8, he did, as I was kind of worried about, I don't know why I thought I put my one UK guy there hoping he would take him back with the Germans rather than the Japan, but he did take it with Japan, and then now he's put a factory for Japan in the inland, and Vologda is maybe coming next, or he may just stick with the two so that he can continue to build two bombers a turn while building two ground units a turn, and between those two just slowly wear away, irritate out the U.S. down here. Combat-wise, he just took out Persia, which, again, my whole not thinking. So now he can blitz his tank through here, and again, once again, he can bring his two transports to Egypt to try to hold Egypt. Now, I played with a bunch of different ideas of things I could do, like I could put a destroyer here and move the destroyer carrier, or the other two destroyers and the loaded carrier over to here. He'd only have his 5 that could attack it. Yeah, I've got 5 defending. It'd be a split, and then I could sneak through the Suez and help reinforce my Suez over here. But I'd also know at some point that Atlantic's going to get iffy, especially if he starts to push this guy out this way and he's continuing to build bombers. So I don't think I necessarily want to squeeze them through that way, and I don't even really want to use destroyer blockers if at all possible. I don't want to waste boats. Every ship is going to count. Every surface ship especially is going to really count. So the interesting part here is the fact that he moves his Japan Navy over to 28. And so, again, he's not planning on coming back and hitting me in the back door, so that's good news. This further indicates that he's hoping to bring them over and unify them with these guys somehow. And like I said, the difference now I realize is he doesn't have to bring the Japan fleet in here on J9. G9 he takes these. J9 he doesn't have to come up here. He just needs to be within matching distance of the German Navy coming through. So that's why I was saying he could stay here, or he could even stay all the way back here to stay clear of the Americans. So I gotta find a way to try to dead zone these areas, these 3 in particular, or even actually back to 27, because again, so let's look at what all he could do, right? Again, G9 he comes there. What if J9 he comes back to here? G10 he comes through to here. UK's not going to do anything about it, so then J10 he can come back to here. So, even here would be an issue, but of course my guys are over here, so I don't look at the J Navy to go here, but the J Navy could be in 29, 28, 27, or 33. Any one of these will allow him to come back and match up with the German Navy. So I really need to put the heat on Japan now. I need to kill this fleet on US 9 and not give him a chance to G10 come out and have the Japan fleet go meet him. So what we're going to do is we're going to have these 3 subs, right? So we can bring them back and park them underneath here, so no matter wherever they go, my 3 subs can meet them. Obviously, going too far this way, he's going to be coming into the teeth of my navy and I can attack him. But what I did, let's see if I can pull it up real quick. Oh, of course I didn't save it. Is I looked at, we're going to have my 3 subs. We're also going to have 1, 2, 3 fighters I plan on putting down here. From here, they can go 1, 2, 3, 4. They can go 1, 2, 3, 4. He doesn't have any transports. He can't take Madagascar, so I can land. I can hit any of these sea zones, or they can even go 1, 2, 3, 4 back this direction. So we'll have 3 subs, 3 fighters that we can put in range, wherever he's at. So then the question comes, if he's got 2 battleships and a carrier, in addition to 3 submarines and 3 fighters, I can't build anything that can reach these zones except for bombers. Bombers from here, even from Borneo, can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can hit these sea zones with the bomber. We can't from Borneo. If we put the bomber in DEI, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we could reach there as well. But I'm leaning towards I'm going to put my bombers in Borneo, because even if he comes back here, I'm going to be bringing these subs and this navy around to dead zone the possibility of maybe deciding to come all the way back to 26, 25, 24, 27. We're going to be dead zoning the back end as well. So here's what the calculator looks like. It's doing its calculations. With 2 bombers, that gives me a 77% chance. Now, that's with him taking fighters last, but if he takes fighters last, he's going to sink his boat. So if we do, crash fighters, we won't even necessarily have to go that. I mean, it's still going to be the same amount, but if I only went 2 rounds, I'd probably still have a good chance of splashing the fighters, right? So one thing I'm going to take into consideration is him wanting to do fighters before carrier. And the other thing for me is, what if we kept the subs alive so that all we had to do is kill these 3, we don't even have to kill the 2 fighters, and we go something along the lines of fighters, then bombers, then subs. So now we're going to be up around 80%. Not much change, but a little bit of a change, which is going to help me out a little bit, and that's where I feel safe. If I build 1 bomber, we still got that it's in our favor, but that's just too risky for me. So we need 2 bombers. So we're going to build 2 bombers. We're going to build 2 fighter for Sea Zone 36, because I do need them to protect me versus the 6 bombers he's got that can reach Sea Zone 36. And then the rest of the money we got is 4 infantry. So the reason I said I'm going to put the bombers here, I want the 4 infantry there, so that if we need to get them to India, my transports can go 1, 2 and dump in India. If they're in Borneo, they can go 1, 2, they can't get to India or here. If I put them in Philippines, potentially I could go that way, but putting them in Borneo, the only place I can do is just bring them back here. So I know that's a lot of talking, but just wanted to lay it out. I don't think I actually have any attacks to do. I thought about doing this attack here, but after further thought decided against it, to put it simply. Just double checking. Yep, nope, we don't have any attacks that I want to do with the US this turn. Now, of note too, the other option, if he does the German 9 here and Japan hang back, I always could take my fleet US 9 to hit and close off the Suez Canal. So if I don't want to sacrifice my bombers or sacrifice all my air force to kill these guys, I had that as an option as well. Right now I think the bombers are going to be helpful for me to help cover these sea zones, as well as to start getting ready to put pressure on this Mediterranean fleet. I think we're going to need it both ways. So that's going to be my plan right now. Alright. Non-combat. You guys there. I want you in there. You in there. You in there. Those guys up. We're gonna swing our fleet on around this way. Well, I guess I don't need to pull them both back, do I? Well, yeah, no, I'm gonna pull them back, so next turn I can always go 1-2, grab them. I mean, North Africa with this fleet, until I can come back in here and really push them, you know, it's kind of a dead zoned area. And I just want to go ahead and I want to draw the line here, let him have North Africa for right now, unfortunately. Which is going to sling the value pretty equal, so I need to make some progress on this front. And I need to make some progress getting a couple more transports so that we can be eating a little bit more money on this side. Do want to make sure. See if I have a fighter before carrier submerge. There we go. Just want to double check that it is submerged with the fleet. This is important. Even though it's 3 subs, submerged lone defenders is only if you have 1 sub. So the 3 subs are considered in a fleet. So if I didn't have this checked, if I had this checked but not this, then he could still attack my 3 subs, and until he kills 2 of them, they'd fight. And then when there's only 1 left, it would submerge. So I want to make sure that the whole thing is submerged with fleet, which we're good there. Alright, I believe that's it. Alright. It's the end of the turn. Here's my spreadsheet, taking a look at it. So right now we're adding up the units. We've shifted from them having the advantage to us starting to peel back the advantage again. Attack power, attack strength, defense power, defense strength at its best it's been for us so far. We need to get this up high quickly though, because we do know that bomber load's coming, and that's gonna make life harder. I'm gonna have to buy more expensive units and less units, and this is gonna start to stalemate out. So we need to get this up quick. Alright. So I thought about putting units here, but I really needed to make sure that we get India stacked up. If I'd put units here, he has 2 infantry and 6-7 planes that can hit it, right? So I would have needed to put like 5 or 6 infantry there to really make it worthwhile, and I just couldn't afford that at this time. So you can see this is what I was talking about. Even if he comes out here, 2 of these fighters I guess can go 1, 2, 3, 4, and we still have our 5 subs, and then potentially 3 destroyers and a carrier that can reach there. So any retreat that way should be dead zoned. We should have, including this guy, these 2 bombers can reach this whole area with these 3 fighters and the 3 subs. So we should be able to have these 4 dead zoned, as well as, of course, if he comes into 34, then these guys are going to be in range, or 31 or 30, they'll all be in range. So his best bet is leaving them in one of these and make me trash my air to get to them. But we do have an 80% chance, so hopefully that works this time on the fleet. Alright, so moving on into round 9. He bought 11 infantry, a tank, and a bomber. Let's see, he put them, the tank and infantry down here in Italy, plus another one. As you can see, he moved down here as I was kind of predicting he would. 5 infantry and a bomber to Germany up here, and 4 infantry to Caucasus. So the thing with this is because he can use his transports to pull these guys, even though it seems like only 4 at the front line, really it's 8 units that he's producing at the front line for Germany this turn that we got to try to find a way to match, if you will. So some key points here. C-Zone 23, this bomber 1, 2, 3, 4 cannot get to. The fighters down here, of course, can if they continue to be. We're going to have 4 boats there with his 2 fighters. These bombers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, cannot reach there, so we're going to have to be comfortable with that. Bombers in Caucasus, as you can see, this is the center of the board and where he's starting to accumulate his bombers at, right? And the reason being, bombers here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 can land in either one of these. So if we don't take both of these, then this C zone is threatened by both sets of bombers. So we now have 9 bombers focusing on C zone 8, and I only got 1 transport, right? Now, I'll be able to use, if I want to, I'll be able to use one of my U.S. transports to come and take Northwest Europe, and that'll, solidify things. Probably not going to do that because I'm hoping to come back to USA and pick up units from there and grab these guys and bring them to the south. So I'm hoping not to have to do that, but for building for the future, since it looks like he wants to put his bombers here, I really want to be able to take these 2 regularly and be trading these 2 until he can build up enough here that he can move a stack over, which is the next step for the Axis, is to stack one of these, so that then that becomes an issue. So then you say, well, let's move to C Zone 3, but the problem is there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So the bombers will continue to threaten there, and you can't be here because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 all the way to Berlin. So, we're on a clock against these bombers. Either we got to build enough boats in air to counter the bombers, or we got to keep enough to take both of these territories each turn, which again, he's building his stack here to move a stack pivot over in all reality. So that's going to become an issue. And then these bombers on the other side, while they're staying in Caucasus, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or, good old Formosa if they have to. So they are threatening C Zone 36 at the same time as essentially threatening C Zone 8, my 2 main points of loads. So Germany adding bombers and Japan adding bombers is going to add pressure to the U.S. So it may turn out that we won't be able to use our factors as efficiently as Amund was pointing out into the video I did on the mid-game, late-game KJF strategy. Nonetheless, I find this factory to be invaluable for dropping 2 boats or 2 planes right into the C-Zone 36 when it's needed. So there may be times where we got to shift off of here and come get here while we build up some boats and then come back. So it may not be a pure shuck here like I would like it to be, because we're going to have to mix it up. But the good news is he's building bombers, he's building boats. So maybe we can get enough ground on here to make it work. Now, the boo-boo, the mistake, the what was I thinking, you fool. And that's by putting my 3 fighters in here, right? So, you know, that whole idea to dead zone the Japan Navy so that I can get rid of this Navy and I can stop worrying about him merging his 2 navies together. And in doing so, I completely forgot about his 5 bombers. 1, 2, 3, and for that sake, the fighter 1, 2, 3, and for that sake, these 2 fighters 1, 2, 3, and the little UK artillery is not going to take Egypt on its own, right? In addition to that, he can throw a transport in, grab these 2 guys, and put them in there to minimize his air losses with that air raid. And if he really wanted to, he could send a battleship there, you know, his battleships up there with it to bombard and really make this a nice clean kill of these 3 fighters. So I don't know if this move is going to be the smartest move or not. We're going to make it and we're going to hope for it to be the smartest move, but we're going to double down on Sudan here. As you're going to see, we are going to kill these guys. It means we're going to have to trade a little bit expensively with our UK guys, heavier than I would particularly like to, but I think it'll be for the positive as it turns out. And then, like I said, we're going to see what we do about the Egypt-Sudan showdown, because even if we survive with what I'm going to do, so what we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and pull it over. Oh, did I not save it? Maybe I didn't save it. Here we go. So, just to show, if I land 2 UK fighters in there and I kill those Japan infantry, this is what it leaves him at. So, yes, he can kill my fighters and ruin my plans for killing, dead zoning and killing the Japan fleet, but it's going to cost him. And that's even true if he even just attempts a 1-round shot at it. It's still going to be pretty costly. The problem is that's putting 2 UK fighters into that zone. If I did 1 UK fighter into that zone, it's a -9. Still a -9, but essentially he's pretty much guaranteed to clear it, whereas the other one was a 50-50. And so that ruins the fleet plans. So I'm leaning towards going ahead and putting both fighters into there. But then what that leaves me is that's going to leave me so say Japan holds off, US gets a turn, we use these fighters to kill this, that leaves me 2 UK fighters facing the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, the 4 bombers, 2 fighters of Germany now. And so then we're going to have to figure out how do we kill these guys and get enough support in here to hold that and then be able to support the next time. So we're going to get into a cycle here. I think I'm going to be okay. In that worst case scenario, I may have to throw a transport to carry 2 ground units for protection and sacrifice a transport, which is obviously not ideal, but if that saves value in planes, then we may have to do that. So, kind of complex. I walked myself into a corner there a little bit, and I am going to have to be building heavily down here still because of the double bombers in this situation. The other thing that I'm you know, in addition to going this way, I need to start trying to creep up the coast to try, if I can get these coastal territories, then that takes off the bombers off of here. So, or at least one set, and then trading. So, anyways, we'll get it figured out, and onward we go. So, 3 infantry coming down here. I am going to build that second transport up here, and I'm going to get a fighter going. I'm going to go ahead and build some extra infantry so that the next turn I can focus on just buying naval and air units in round UK 10, because I'm sure I'm going to need to. So a lot said there. The reason I mentioned about the 23 is the fact that hopefully I'll be able to have my US transports going connection here, and as long as he's not stacking these, then his bombers can't threaten me from there, at least. You know, from Caucasus they can't. All right. So I hate to just throw the tank in there, but because I don't have any Air Force over here, I want to get a decent kill. This gives me a 92, 93, 94%, something like that, chance of a take. Unfortunately, he's going to be able to, you know, take it back efficiently, you know, whether he does it with Japan or Germany. But in this moment, it's too important to kill these guys, so gotta kill those guys. I wish these guys could reach Egypt, but they cannot. An interesting move here for Japan, I'm just going to throw this out there, is if he moves all of this into C-Zone 34, wipes this guy, right, and then builds a navy over here, and so then this navy sitting here, do we go that way or do we go that way? Be an interesting move. I mean, I know what I'd do, but all right. I think that's our 2 attacks. So let's roll them. Oi. Oi, oi. Quadruple oi. That's not what I need going into this. I need that money from France. I was kind of counting on that money for France. Oi. Oi, 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 oi. Interesting. So I'm going to have to do some calculating and thinking here, because I didn't expect to take that cleanly. So we are going to put those 2 guys in there. We're going to be coming up this way with everybody else. So here's my debate and what I'm going to need to do. I'm going to set the calculator, so I'm just going to tell you guys, because I'll probably forget when it comes US turns to double check this. So keep an eye on Persia. I'm going to check and see if moving all 3 of these guys in versus them is worth it. And then we've got 7 and a tank and at least these 2 fighters, these guys, if any of them live, that could come in here. Could we take Persia? And that would be great to try and put pressure on his twin towers here. I don't know if it's doable. I have to look. I could even, again, throw a transport into here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with the bombers hitting there, and these fighters going 1, 2, 3, 4. So we could wipe that out with using a transport. And that would leave him these attacks. So there's a lot to that because it's going to be, you know, it's going to be Japan, then U.S., then Germany, and then UK, getting to move 3 more guys in, and then Japan, and then U.S. And it's gonna be an upward cycle to where it's either gonna go really good or it's gonna go really bad. And I need to sit down and really think about that. So keep an eye on Persia. When I do US's turn, if you see 6 infantry there, then we are going to be moving more into there and doubling down into Persia. So right now, not sure if we do it or not, but just keep an eye on it. Okay, so this game continues to be rather interesting. So Japan, he bought 3 fighters, 2 infantry. He attacked Persia. As I expected, he wiped out Persia, and he attacked not C-Zone 33, but actually attacked C-Zone 28 with 1 fighter. Not really sure why, because if he thought I was going to fight, he could just use his battleships. But anyways, and the fighter couldn't hit, so that's just a weird one. I'm not really sure what happened there. But anyways, of course we submerged. The good news is he lost 2 bombers and 2 fighters in that Battle of Persia, which was definitely ended up being more favored result to me than him. I believe he was, well, I was counting him using 3 fighters on the attack, so I'm honestly not sure now, but I think I was set to hit like 2 of the fighters maybe. Let's see here. So he had what? An infantry and an artillery. He did 2 fighters instead of 3 fighters like I thought he would. So let's see. My result of killing 2 bombers. Yeah. So for me to kill 2 bombers and 2 fighters, that was a top 10%, top 6% result actually. So yeah, so that was definitely a nice positive result for me there. Maybe not quite paying off for those 2 sea battles quite yet, but between Moscow and that it's going to help me for sure. But what this does is leaves a very interesting situation here, right? Because I can land fighters here now, so I can move my U.S. into here, as well as I've got 5 fighters I could come in. But if I use 5 fighters, then I'm not taking on his Navy. I could bring these subs in and keep these subs hanging out here and have more subs to use on his Navy next turn. But I really just want to get rid of this Navy. Maybe it's wrong. At least the carrier, so that the fighters quit coming, can't come back and forth, because he did build 3 more fighters here to work this way. So that's really one of the things I want to be cognizant of. I'd like to get rid of that. I'd just like to get rid of this Navy, period, not to worry about them. But meanwhile, if I use these fighters to land in Persia, that's going to leave my UK exposed to potentially 4 bombers, 2 fighters, 2 infantry, and a tank if I don't do anything about these units here. So we're going to go for the gold. We're going to try and take Egypt and here by sacrificing 1 transport, because I am realizing it'll probably be a while till I can use my 4th and 5th transport over here, as we're in an arms race on expensive units with Germany. I do think that eventually I'll get to use them, but we'll see. Meanwhile, if I can just get 2 infantry a little quicker up here, I can use 2 infantry, a tank, 2 fighters. Actually, I'm going to take 1 fighter from here, even have 3 fighters. So 2 infantry, a tank, 3 fighters. I can have an infantry, tank, and a fighter here. And I can still spare a fighter, 3 subs, and 2 bombers down here. This gives me about a 55% shot overall to win, which I may not follow it all the way through. I may just go kill the carrier and then retreat. It'll just kind of depend on how things go. Because, like we said, I can have my subs coming up afterwards if I need to. So, yeah, I mean, that's all the battles. If I take Egypt, then that takes this bomber out from being able to hit down here. So I'll only have the artillery and 2 fighters. He'll still have 2 fighters and 3 bombers that can hit me. It comes to like a positive 3 result for him, IPC result for him. But I'm also going to have my a naked transport sitting here, so maybe he uses one of his fighters to take care of it too, and that improves my odds down there. But we may end up losing these 2 fighters. Decent chance, but hopefully they take a couple more out with him again. So yeah, that's where we're at. But the other part that is going to happen, which may save these guys after all, is as long as I keep 2 of my bombers to survive into Madagascar, we're going to have 4 fighters landing here. We're going to have 2 fighters on this carrier that can go 1, 2, 3, 4 in the following turn. So that puts me 6 fighters, 2 bombers staring down C-Zone 17. So he's got no factories here, so he'll need to stop at C-Zone 15 or 16 this next turn, which means he's not coming right back down into here. I fully suspect him to come into 16, bring these 4 units, put 4 units, and have 12 ground here, because I'm going to have my little mini stack of US there that then I'm going to have to retreat back. So I got a feeling that's where he's going to put his fleet back here. The bombers can't reach there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it'd be safe for a period. He may build another destroyer or battleship. Who knows? He may build some more sea while he's back in there for a turn. So, but and we're gonna try to get this stacked up if we can. I doubt we're gonna be able to keep it a second turn, but we're gonna do our best. We're gonna do our very best. So we're looking at buying another carrier down here, because right now I can't move these guys into here because he's got too much to between the German and Japan air to wipe it. I will have enough fighters, so I'm going to build another carrier and be ready to move him in to continue to defend. What I was saying is if he has to move his fleet there, then the fighters can't hit down here. So he'd be down to just 3 bombers going down there. So better and better for me. All right. And I am building 2 fighters. Again, these fighters going in, 2 fighters come in to replace them. So, rather big, important battles, all 3 of these are. Oh, that's right, UK failed miserably up here. I'm like, why is France still sitting there? I could attempt infantry artillery versus 2, but I'd rather keep the units down here in Africa. especially since I'm not building any for East USA like I had hoped to. Oh. I almost missed that one. I think that is all my planned attacks. Theoretically, I could try that without the tank, but I worry, and I'm hoping that we're going to push him out of C-Zone 17 so the tank will survive anyways. Alright. Let's hope for the best. Poor. That's interesting. It's actually an interesting battle when you look at this, when you pull out the calculator and you play with the, do I take my subs first? Does he take his fighter first? Or he should probably take his fighter first. Do I take my subs first, or do I take my airplanes first and keep my sub for the surprise attacks? And because the fighter can't hit him, so if he doesn't take his fighter early, then maybe we keep our subs if he takes his carrier first. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. I plan on losing the one fighter though. That's a given. The bombers, I really want to try to keep them, so I'm probably going to take the fighter out and then the subs and then the bombers. But let's get these battles. These first two battles are pretty darn important for the Africa-Persia holds. Nice. Oh. Ah. Alright. Very nice. Alright, now this sea battle, I think I'm going to get a calculator already because we're just going to have to see how the different permutations play out, because this is the close one. But I believe this fleet has used its luck all up. That is my firm belief. So let's get 3 hits. Three surprise strike hits. That would be awesome. Three hits total though. Okay, so he took out the fighter. Alright. So this is where I need to think. I didn't stop and think this through yet. Alright. Not a big difference either way. It's kind of 81%, 83% that I win this out. So we're going to take those guys as the hits, because the fighter will be better in the off chance that it lives than the sub will be. Come on. So, man, I just wish I could get a surprise strike hit. Miss. Rats. I need those bombers for the dead zone of the C zone, so. Alright. We'll call that a successful turn. Just have him hang out. What to do with my U.S. Navy? We'll come back to that one. This is because I want to build the carrier here, so we're going to have 3 and 3 infantry, so he'll be able to grab one and come back. Nothing can hit the bombers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fighters 1, 2, 3. So they're safe sitting out there without any coverage. So now comes a question of where do I want to keep this U.S. Navy? Do I want to work on having them down here where they can creep back around this way? Come on up here and help support the UK. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring them up here for this turn. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. The subs, I kind of want to have them be able to enter in. I'm going to bring him on in here. So next turn we could stagger, do a 1-2 if he's only got 1 destroyer, so you can only hit one of them. And then UK could kill the destroyer, and then the sub might be able to hit with the airplanes and such. Just kind of setting things up there. Alright, so we're going to put the carrier here, put our fighters here, 3 here again for maximum ability to get to India right away if we ever need to. 3 here. And end the turn. I haven't been updating my my spreadsheet yet this turn, so we'll just take a quick look at the in-game. So we're now up to 128 to 110 on the attack power, so proven there. He's got 86, we got 86, so we're even Steven on the income. Because we failed, that's that failed France. So wish we could get that one back. On the positive side, the Africa tax was good because I don't think he can, like I said, so that's going to lower his income here. I don't think he'll want to come back to these when I've got 4, 5, 6 fighters and 2 bombers that could hit there. So I think he's going to have to go up here. So I think these will be safe this turn. I believe Persia to be stacked safely. Maybe I'm overestimating that. I didn't actually recalculate that. So he's not going to get income up on this front as I'm going at. It's like there's Germany. He could drop down here. I don't think he'd come here because, again, he'd be going into a dead zone. So he could take this one. But we'll see. We'll see what he does. Warning, warning. You may receive whiplash during this next turn here. So Germany buys 15 infantry, 1 bomber. He went for the attack on Persia. He attacked Transjordan, and he attacked Egypt. Transjordan, I only lost 1 infantry. He lost both his infantry and tank. Egypt, he killed my tank. Persia is the big issue. He wiped out my 4 fighters, my 7 infantry, and only lost 1 bomber for the cost of it. Now, pulling out the calculator, I'd show it to you, but you just have to trust me. You can punch it in yourself if you really want to. He did 4 infantry, 2 fighters, 4 bomber attack. The average result was me surviving with 3 of my fighters living, and him losing all of his bombers and all of his fighters. So this ended up being a top 2% result for him. And right when again, last turn, I was like, whew, we're making progress. And now I'm back to, I can't even believe he took the battle. Like the first round was like a negative 12 IPC. The total value was like a negative 35 IPC for him. But, you know, I guess this is just, I didn't need to log it. He's going to take risky battles. But, I mean, from my standpoint, I got to keep offering them. I mean, I can't not go into there, you know, offering him a negative 35 IPC battle. So, you know, now I feel like it's flipped back. The head's flipped back. He's got the advantage again. So I'm going to throw a high risk. I'm going to continue throwing Persia into high risk Persia. There's going to be so many dead bodies in Persia by the end of this. It's going to be ridiculous. But I'm going to keep throwing into it, including fighters, infantry, let him crash his bombers in there, and just pray that at some point we come up on the positive side of this. So, I don't feel good about it, I'll be honest. I do not feel good about it. But, you know, not taking France also hurt because he didn't have to trade back here at all. So at least this time we know we'll trade these 2, but he'll probably stack kill my trade, so he still will be able to use all 4 of his bombers and 2 fighters attacking, but it'll be 6 infantry, 2 fighters, and a tank. After he wipes my 3 infantry and 2 fighters, I'm going to put in there with his 2 infantry and 4 fighters. It's going to be bloody, and it's going to continue to be bloody, and we're just going to go with it at least another round and hope the dice turn back our way and give us a major battle and makes them lose a bunch of bombers. It's one of these ones I wish I had an AA gun in here, right? The AA guns, unfortunately, are over here. Alright, so we're building 3 infantry, 2 fighters. We're going to put the 2 fighters here. We're going to fly these 3 fighters around to Africa so that they can come into Persia next turn if I decide to. I was debating, you know, 1 or 2. I'm going to put 2 infantry into France so that he has to at least send like 4 or 5 of these guys. I think he'll send the whole stack probably. It does mean I only got 3 guys for attacking next turn and an AA, but maybe next turn thinking I might bring them down to Africa because these will have units and I'll be wanting to circulate airplanes. So next turn it might be transports coming in to Africa, and maybe I move my fleet into the Med and try and confront him again. I don't know. We'll see. And I think I'm playing his game, right? This is something he'd do. I'd take at least that first shot and pray they don't get 2 hits back on the first round, and if he gets no hits, then maybe we take it. I probably should stick to my own game, but I'm not going to. We're going to play his game. Probably not the smart move. But we could use all that yummy income for UK. Bam bam. 2 hits. 1 hit. Miss. Yes! Miss again. Rats. So here's the deal. IPC value-wise, 2 infantry, 4 bombers versus this is pretty split. It's 80% he wipes, so he's most likely going to wipe, but the overall value of it is split. If he uses one of his bombers to kill my transport, though, it goes to a positive, negative for him, like 7 or something like that. Positive result for me. So, and nothing else can reach here. Otherwise, he's got to let my transport go free. So, we'll see what he chooses. Those guys on around, and that's all we got for our UK turn. Alright, yep, I think that's it. Come on, Persia guys. Do better than your predecessors. Actually, the UK guys did good in there, didn't they? Because I got some extra hits on his Japan bombers, I remember right. That's where I had a little bit of a positive last time, so... Well, still, do better than your predecessors. Do even better than your predecessors. Don't do like the U.S. Army. Don't flunk like they did. So then next turn I'll have the option of bringing the tank to here, blitzing through to hit here with 2 bombers if he doesn't take the territory, or coming back through Egypt and back here so I can grab the IPC, but it doesn't really do any good, right? Because it just goes to UK and German will be able to just take it right back. But by taking it, it makes him have to actually come back to take it versus sending everything here next turn. Alright, there we go. Okay, so as the world turns continues, Persia continues to be a graveyard. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. So he did win it, but it cost him 3 bombers and 1 infantry. It killed 2 fighters of mine and 3 infantry. So at this point, overall, I mean, even with this again, another not good result for him. He knew he needed to take it because he didn't want me to throw more fighters in there, right? Because he saw me obviously bringing these fighters over, and then I'm willing to put 3 infantry, 3 fighters into Persia with UK, and so this has just been a haymaker after haymaker after haymaker back and forth. We're just throwing haymakers at Persia, and the reason being is if I was able to stack this and hold it, that puts him in quite a bind with both his factories and threat. So if allies take it, it's a very tough situation for Axis at that point. And it really starts to bottleneck the whole Africa part. If Axis takes it, it's not the end of the game by any means, but it's not a good spot either, right? You know, once he starts lands a bomber in here, then it's 1, 2, 3, so DEI is no longer a free safe zone. These bombers can hit 3 to Borneo, so there's no safe zones where you could just leave a transport sitting at anymore at that point. So we want to try to keep, we both want this territory. It's a very key territory. It's a territory that connects India, Africa, and Eurasia, right? It's the only one that's, connects all 3 of those. So we're going to do the best that we can to continue to fight for it. I am going to continue at this point. I don't know if this is all the great bit. He definitely overall has gotten better dice in Persia, but certainly there's been some battles like this one that swung nicely my way as well, especially Japan hitting twice. The German one was atrocious, though. He got a top 2% result that just destroyed my forces up there. Overall, I went back through this war. I've lost 20 infantry, 1 tank, and 6 fighters in Persia. He's lost 9 infantry, 2 artillery, 2 fighter, and 6 bombers And so that's the part I've been keeping an eye on. Is I've lost 6 fighters, he's lost 2 fighters, 6 bombers. That Air Force, especially his bomber. I'm happy to see his bombers go down. It's costing me. IPC value of all the units lost is 126 for me, 127 for him. So kind of a toss there. But here's the downside. Here's the part that's not good for me is unit count, total unit count. I've lost 27 units with a lot of infantry in there, and he's lost 19 units. So unit count becomes very important in the grander scheme of things. So I'm happy to knock out his bombers, but the reason that unit count becomes important is he's got 14 units he can build right here. Throw in the 4 that he's pumping in because he's got his 2 transports that he could be transporting right into Caucasus as well. And he's got 18 units he could be pumping in to, right here a turn basically. And I've got not that. So I can't sustain this unless I can get in there and hold it and then get myself resituated where I can make use of all of this and get 16 units out of my backside here. And then hopefully distract enough units over here to make that counterbalance. So that's what we're kind of looking at. I wish this would have gone better. The Germany attack on here would have gone better. The good news is what they don't know. This is the Americans here. This is in 6. This is SEAL Team 6 going in here, and so if the Germans attack, they're just going to absolutely wipe them out. These Americans are going to be fight atrociously. So the next play I'm going to do is going to be probably controversial. People are going to debate it and may tell me it was foolish because I cut my supply chain even more temporarily, but I'm going for it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to buy 5 infantry. I'm going to buy a couple subs, a transport, and a couple fighters. And this probably honestly is not the right move. I'll be honest. I'm kind of just playing this game. This is a fun game, and I'm not doing the multiple turn calculation out of what's going to happen in Persia that I probably should do, but we're not. We are going to put everything in here. If we take this without a loss, then it'll cost him on average 3 to 4 German air to take it, to kill it. If I was him, I wouldn't attack it. I'd be patient because these 6 guys plus 4 more guys means he's going to have 14 Germans here, and I'm probably not going to be able to hold it at that point. But because he's been showing the willingness to just keep trading back and forth and throw these haymakers, I'm going to tempt him to throw another one and hope the dice go my way this time. So obviously if I'm doing this, I plan on bringing my fleet over here, which means I need to keep C-Zone 62 dead zone. So the best he can build here is either 2 carriers and land 4 fighters on it against surface ships. So that's why I put 2 subs in. Going to drop 2 subs in the water. So then the next best is he can build a carrier, a destroyer, and a sub and put 2 fighters on it. And so I'm going to be bringing these 2 bombers over to DEI where they can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And because he has no Japan units in range that could take it, I know that'll be a safe landing spot if I have to. So we'll have the 2 bombers. We're building 2 fighters. We're going to leave this carrier back so the 2 fighters can go 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll have 2 fighters, 2 bombers, and 2 subs threatening C-Zone 62 to keep it under wraps. And then over here, we should have enough even for the 1-2 because the Japan really is just 2 bombers that Japan can reach C-Zone 34 with. Germany has 4 bombers, 2 fighters. I did use a calculator on this one, and so it looks like I should be okay there. He may take that risky battle, but I'm only going to have 2 transports there, and I'll still have 3 transports sitting back here. So if he takes it, he takes it. All right. I know it's a lot of talking, and all for attacking one person. I hate leaving Egypt like it is, but I just really want to tempt him in Persia, and I really want to get this without him hitting back. Even if he does hit back, it's still a positive battle for me if Germany attacks. All right, here we go. 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. All right. Look at that. I even called the number. All right. So that will make it a very costly battle if Germany wants to try to take Persia again. And if he doesn't, then I do got 6 UK coming in, and then I've got 4 fighters. Plus, I'm going to have 6. Well, here we go. We're going to have 3 loaded transports here, plus 4 guys with these 2 transports I could jump over to Persia. So again, I'm looking to try to stack Persia. I'm throwing everything I can to do so. I am going to bring, I got some infantry for him. I thought about putting these bombers in India, right? Because that puts them closer to the front line. But what happens after UK moves these 3 guys up here and they build 3 guys? I just, between his 3 bombers and his 2 bombers, was there really any added advantage of being in India? I could threaten C-Zone 16, but, you know, I got nothing else to threaten C-Zone 16 with, so it's not really a threat. So I'm just going to hold them back and be safe. Did I forget to grab my guys? I only grabbed 1 guy. That's what happened. I'm like, what happened? There we go. Get both guys over. I'm going to do this. So because we were able to take all this, these bombers, 1, 2, 3, 4, can't land anywhere, so he can't attack me. And so then even if he takes France, Japan only has 1 bomber that can get out there. So he's got 2 fighters and a bomber that he could attack me with. But if the fighters went, he'd be risking having to pull his fleet in and then pull them in. And so by all that's to say, maybe I don't really have a plan, but maybe I can set something up to, again, try to get in here and clear these guys somehow. Because this fleet really is problematic. More problematic than I would like. You know, I bragged I didn't have to kill that initial battleship, but now I kind of wish I wish it was dead. All right, I think that's all the turn. Of course, this turn I think is going to end up setting me back a little bit on the attack power overall. I didn't even look at it. I didn't consider it. Now I could put these in here or in here, but since I'm not using all my build spaces, because yes, I'm not effectively using my build spaces. I promise I will make use of those. Especially when Japan starts coming back this way. Right now I'm just taking advantage of the situation to try to get Persia stacked if at all possible. So yeah, so we're going to have 3 loaded transports sitting here, plus these 4, and we've got these 6. Again, he can choose to attack this, and see if I have that up here real quick. Thought I had that. Oh, nope, doesn't look like I do have it up right now. Anyways, so he could choose to attack it at quite the negative value. And here we go. He could choose a strafe it, of course, which is probably the best strategy, because if he brings E6, builds 4, and instead of coming back to here, brought 4 into there, he'd have 14 ground sitting there, and he just needs to lower it so that my people coming in would be an issue. So here we go. So here's his straight up attack on Persia right now. He's got a 66% chance of winning it outright at a negative 20 IPC, and that's him, you know, losing 4 airplanes in doing so. If he wanted to take it so that I couldn't move my 3 UK fighters in there, where he has to have 1 live, it's now down to a 60% chance, and he's going to go all the way down to 1 bomber at a high cost here. So, I don't really look at, what's, I don't even think a 1 round, I don't think a strafe is going to be, it's going to be advantageous to me, right? 26 versus 23, so it's not super costly, so he may take that 1 shot, lose his infantry, see what happens. Maybe he gets good dice, and then he decides to continue, or maybe we get good dice and knock out a plane or 2. That would be nice. I'd love to see us knock out a plane or 2 with him. It's not much to get at least 1 of them. So, I didn't calculate out. I'll be curious to see if he does max build to put pressure on Persia. I probably should have calculated out if he does max build, and then I bring in my 10 Americans and 6 UK on top of it. If I can hold this stack. We're hoping this maneuver holds it. Again, the downside, as you can see, is I don't have a lot of reinforcements coming in. I don't have anybody down in the peninsula here, and I did that because Japan's 2 turns away, so he's giving me a little bit of breathing room. And again, I got my 2 subs, 2 fighters, 2 bombers that can hold C-Zone 62 in check. So yeah, I'm hoping we got Persia. Again, I didn't calculate it. We're just going to hope. Alright guys, so, and gals, I apologize now. I'm going to apologize ahead of time. This is going to be a little bit of a complex discussion because there actually is a lot of pieces to discuss here. And so just hang in there. I'm going to try to describe this. It's such an interplay that I don't know where, it's kind of a loop, right? I don't know where to start without it getting too over confusing because it's a multi-level situation here. So ultimately, I mean, first off, what did Germany do? So we know what Germany did. So they bought 14 infantry and a bomber. They continue to build 1 bomber turn, which I'm just going to kind of assume to continue to be the case at this point. He attacked France, Northwest Europe, and then took Transjordan for free. He put both sets of infantry in Transjordan. So that was his combat. Nothing, no major battles there, but what it did mean is he didn't attack Persia. So we got the Persia stack, because he's not going to turn around and attack Persia now with 2 infantry, a bomber, and 3 fighters, right? So Persia is safe up to Japan 11, or excuse me, US 11, and through US 11. But now comes, what does that mean? Well, right off the bat, what that means to me is I really would like to keep Persia safe through Germany 12, because then I can land some fighters in here which can threaten C-Zone 16 and 17, because I want to move my fleet into the Mediterranean, and I want to take advantage of this to take care of this fleet. I really want to finish this off because of what we'll be talking about in a little bit. So the good news is um, he's just leaving 1 infantry in here, right? He's not going to move 2 infantry, 3 fighters, and a bomber in there versus 10 infantry, 2 fighters, a tank, and actually really 2 bombers that could hit there. So I fully suspect there's going to be 1 infantry there. So I get to take Caucasus on US 11. Hopefully. I better. We're going to see what happens. Which means Germany 12, he can't build boats or planes in C-Zone 16. So the only way that he could build his fleet is in C-Zone 15, but I plan on having all of this sitting in C-Zone 14. So I don't believe there's anything that he could build that would negate a 1-2 impact, especially if I've got fighters, the US fighters sitting over here. And especially if he allows me to have 4 US fighters here and 2 bombers, then we're going to be sitting really pretty. However, I think Japan is going to force US into making a sacrifice. Before we get there, why on earth would he move his German stack to protect Kazakh instead of protect Caucasus? And the only reason that I can come up with why he would move to here is so that the Germans can continue to come this way with Japan and start to threaten this back door, which I have completely empty and don't have a real quick build up into here. Especially if I want to kill TJ and protect Persia, then I've got to use my transports into C-Zone 34. Which means either I'm throwing them in there to be sacrificed, or I'm leaving my fleet, including most likely have to bring my carrier into C-Zone 34 and not coming back this way. So, transports over here, US fleet over here, US fleet isn't dropping in here on US 11, so Germany goes to here 12. So US 12, I get to come back and be able to drop a couple, but most of my transports are going to be here, so I'm only going to be able to drop like maybe 6 units into here, US 12, and then Germany and Japan meeting up here, and then I'm trying to do everything I can because I want to hold 2 territories, so I got to get enough units back this way to stack 2 territories. Of course, then that leaves open this back door, and what all does that mean? The other component of it, when I built my 2 fighters with my carrier, what I had looked at is the fact of needing to leave my fleet on US 11 in C-Zone 34, and in order to do so, I assumed he was going to build a Japan bomber, or excuse me, a German bomber. I apologize, my words are just all mixed up today. A Germany bomber, and I expect these 3 fighters to come in range, and these German bombers to be in range. Japan bombers, good gosh. Y'all are gonna eat me alive on. I can't keep Germany and Japan straight. I'm looking at them, and the flip of the blue here and the orange here. Hey. Long story short, I think in order to keep C-Zone 34 stacked, depending on Japan's play here, I need a carrier with 4 fighters in C-Zone 34, which I need these 4 fighters elsewhere as well. For example, this is what I think I'm going to be facing, is if Japan goes ahead and drops a sub-destroyer carrier and then lands 2 of its fighters here, then I've got to use 2 subs, 2 bombers, and ideally 2 fighters, at least 1 fighter, or 1 bomber. At least 3 of these 4 have to go, and really ideally all 4 of them have to go. So, fighters go 1, 2, 3, have to land 4. So if the fighters survive, then I got to pull the carrier into 61 where I can get nobody else, and voila, he's gonna take out, my carrier. So bombers can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and land here. But now he's going to have bombers and he's going to have Japan ground, and I'm not going to be able to put any US to cover them up unless I put fighters over top of bombers or sacrifice a transport from here over here, but then that means they're not going this way to try to cover up the bombers. So in essence, I need to take these losses before my sub losses because they're essentially lost anyways. So that's going to be a 44 IPC loss. The good news, if he builds that, that's 42 IPC loss for him. So it's essentially a IPC neutral trade. But what that means is these fighters aren't coming up here and these bombers aren't coming up here to then kill the German fleet in G12. Which brings us back all the way back, loop back around to this. What do I need to be able to kill them? So I looked at the very least, I will have 3 destroyers, 2 subs, a carrier, and 2 fighters, because these fighters can't get involved in this side of the world, so we'll have the 2 fighters. And that gives me a 25% chance of killing him without him being able to build reinforcements. Which means the UK would need to step in closer, and it's going to get ugly, where UK is getting too far extended into the Mediterranean with their fleet and not enough back here, where then we're opening sea lion talks and possibilities and all that fun stuff. So it's a lot. The other thing I got to do is, if I do put fighters into Persia, then I need them to live, right? And they have to make it to the next round in order to hit the fleets. So I need a strong enough stack there, which may mean I have to do that bit of moving a infantry and AA and possibly a third unit up here while one takes Egypt. Which means another transport having to sit in C-Zone 34. I need some fighters in Persia in order to hold it. So I need at least 3 fighters of this entire fleet. I need at least 3 fighters to be somewhat comfortable, and really want 4 fighters in this fleet to be comfortable versus Japan hitting me with 5 bombers, destroyer, 2 battleships, and a carrier, and 2 fighters. So you can see these 5 fighters, well, include these 7 fighters. I need at least 3 here, 3 to 4 here, which means 3 to 4 need to be in here. And depending on how many has to be in there, that means they're not protecting the C-Zone 34 fleet, which means any transports in here are being sacrificing because I'm going to have to pull the fleet out. So there's a full circle back around. And hopefully not too many zigzags off of it. That's the complexity of everything we're looking at. Now, this is actually a turn that I would welcome Japan to buy 2 ground and 2 bombers, I think. That would be the best scenario for the US, to be honest. Because then I can pull these units into the front up here, build a few more subs to help dead zone over here, and be comfortable. But if they build, and I think they will, a carrier, destroyer, sub, and put 2 fighters on it, that's going to put US, we're going to have to sacrifice transports in 34, bombers over here in Yunnan. I apologize. Is it Yunnan? I know I'll have to go back and look at the one of y'all gave me the correct pronunciation. I already forgot it. So, any case, I'll have to relook that because I want to make sure I start saying that correctly. That's the big picture. So what are we going to do? So I'm going to build 6 ground, 3 for India, 3 for Britain, and I'm going to continue to build fighters, 2 fighters. So this is an interesting side story. So I'm also going to pull this up. I'm going to bring my my spreadsheet over because I just found this interesting as I was looking at it. Not looking at my normal stuff, although I guess I can take the second here. So this round was really good for me. That's when I wiped the J Fleet and the Japan attacked and lost all those bombers in Persia. Last round was not so good with me because that German wipe of the US was more hurtful than the second Japan loss. So they did make some comeback. So I made a big step that way, took a big step backwards that way. But what I wanted to show you guys actually is more this bit, my casualties and builds. So the interesting thing here is I've lost 32 fighters in this game. But what I really was interested in was the ground infantry artillery tank, because this is ultimately what wins the war, right? I've lost 129 units there. He has lost 135 units. So I got a 6 advantage because 31 tanks are dead. That just blows my mind. 31 tanks, 32 fighters. He's also lost 19 fighters and 9 bombers. But I've also lost 18 more infantry in there. So thought that was interesting. And then on the build side, you know, likewise what you'd expect. I have built 30 fighters to his 13. He's built 14 bombers and 19 tanks. Thankfully, all those 19 tanks are dead. But you look at this again. I have built 100 units, ground units, versus he has built 131 units, and that is concerning to me. Because again, these 3 units ultimately is you got to have the ground units to win the war. So even though I've killed 6 more, he's built 31 more, and that's not an advantage, you know, I want him to maintain. So I definitely have got to start getting that going, and that's because his Germany turns. He's been smart. He's been buying 15, 14, 15 infantry and a bomber, 14, 15 infantry and a bomber. So he's been building up, and that wave is getting ready to come in. All these infantries are going to start to cause some issues. So, all right. Whew. That was talking a lot for a turn that's actually not going to be a lot. So we're going to loop around the southern part of France and take it that way. And I believe that, again, is our only actual attack with the UK, because we really don't got much more we can do. And, yep, that's it. Thank you. Now, I'm going to leave my AA, and I'm going to bring him down here. So it's 1 less transport in the mix that he could attack if he decided to. Why not bring my AA too? Because next turn I'm building 3 infantry or 3 ground units, so I'd want him to be able to bring his infantry back in 1 and then be able to hit here and be able to attack France as well as Northwest Europe, and or I want to come back here and match up with this guy, and then I'd just have a solo AA running down here when I probably want to keep that AA in London to help protect against the Sea Lion threats. And so I'm going to leave the AA in London. I'm going to bring one of their fighters, two of their fighters back. Even though I'm worried about him coming this way, I've got to continue to hold my stack here first. There's so few units on the board. It's scary. So yeah. So that's that. It's going to be interesting. Japan's turn is going to be very interesting what he decides to do with it. It's going to pressure or not pressure US. I expect him to pressure us, but and make us force us into tough decisions. Oh, you know what? Do want to keep, but I do not want submerge on anymore. For the time being, I want to keep fighter before carrier. All right, there we go. Sorry, that was pretty heavy, in-depth analysis of the situation, or at least as I see it. We'll see what happens. All right, so personally, I think Japan it went easy on me, made it a little easier on me. They did not build the fleet to make me have to stretch out my bombers and fighters where I couldn't go, and they even actually left this open so that as long as I stay within 4, I could still have the potential downing of my bombers at some point in here to take care of that. So I'm going to keep that in mind as I do my next turns here. So what are we going to do? What I did go in and look at is if I brought my fleet in here with the fighters, with all 4 fighters sitting out here between his 5 bombers, 2 fighters, and 3 fighters, 3 bombers, 1-2 hit, it's like a 55% chance they wipe out my fleet, which is but not really a risk I really want to take. Whereas if I go ahead and move my fleet back to 36, where I would prefer them anyways, to be perfectly honest, we're going to sit a little bit better. So the key of all of this is doing this Persia bit is going to allow me to wipe this fleet, or I should be able to wipe this fleet in round 12. And that is huge, so that then I can just let Persia be a dead zone, even if I can't keep it stacked. Because then if I can wipe out the fleet and keep these dead zone from building another fleet propping back up, well then, again, he has to march his units through Persia, through TJ, through Egypt, through Sudan, before they can get to an area that can't be hit by my C-Zone 36 fleet by shifting over with all my transports all of a sudden. So all of this territory, this whole arch, will be protected by my fleet as well to a degree. Now, to do that, of course, I'm going to have to continue to work on building my fleet up, and I'm probably going to do more of that in rounds 12 and 13 especially, to be able to defend if I do that. But regardless, it's going to be an idea where hopefully we can just keep Persia, stacked ideally, but dead zoned if not. Because again, he is going to have 18 infantry coming in here, and then he's going to build another bomber, and he's going to build some more Japan here, and we'll see. The fact that he's letting me take Caucasus though is a very nice positive, because that may buy me time to keep Persia sacked. I'm not calculating this out that far, but it also means I do need to use a transport, at least one transport to hit these guys, and maybe a second transport to protect Persia. So I am going to be sacrificing 1, maybe 2 of my transports this turn to get this, but I think it's worth it for wiping this navy out and then making their only route through Persia. So that's the plan here. So with that being said, I'm planning on only one transport coming, which means I'm going to have 4 transports back over here. I'm going to build a 5th transport. I'll have this one guy to get off, and then I will have 9 other guys I need to build on the islands that my transports can pull. And then that'll leave me a couple more build slots. So I've got my transport, and then I'm also going to build a fighter in there in the mix as well. And we're going to use all of that to hopefully fill up. This time we're going to put all 13 spots. We're going to have 9 infantry, 2 tanks, a fighter, and a transport. We're probably going to put the fighter in the Philippines, the transport over here where it can sit without protection safely, and then all the rest of the units going in between. So we've got 8, 11, 13 build spots. We're going to use all 13 build spots finally. And these guys are coming down here, so I don't need to build into the US for any more transports right now. So I'm building tanks because I do think he's going to start coming here. I'm going to start trying to put pressure here. And I like to have my tanks that can shoot all the way to Persia. They can be sitting here in Burma, but also shoot all the way over to Persia, or be sitting in India and be able to shoot up this way or this way. So at least here in the beginning, I like getting a couple tanks down here in this situation for the U.S. All right, so combat. We do need to take this guy, but I really want to hit this guy hard. And I want to try doing it with just 2 guys. I know this is risky. 4 infantry. I want to take 2 bombers, 3 fighters, infantry, artillery, 1 shot hit, hopefully to wipe them out. And then we're just going to have to see what the results are. I may have to pause to do some calculations to see if I risk an air to finish him off or not. So I hadn't really, again, I apologize. I'm not super over calculating this game out right now. I'm playing it a little bit more by feel, by instinct, and then just doing some calculators when I need to. So hopefully I didn't just walk myself into a bad spot. I'm good at doing that when I'm not pulling all the calculators out for all the battles like I do when I get really serious. All right, so this is the big battle. We need a nice clean wipe of his 4 units, and I'd love to actually take the territory. It would be even better yet. Because if I take it and I wipe these guys, then this is all taken care of. So 4 hits, first round. Two hits, big whiff. Oh yes! Oh, I got super lucky here. I ain't gonna lie. Alright, well I didn't take it, and I'm not gonna sacrifice a plane over it, but I killed the guys. That was the most important part of that. That first round of him whiffing on the four guys, that was pretty big. Alright, there we go, good. This was key because I needed to take this factory so that he could not build and add to his fleet while I'm trying to pin him down. Now he's got like a 25% chance he could wipe that, but if he does it, he's wiping out his fleet against it as well as his bombers. So I don't think he's going to take that. If he does and he wipes everything out and he takes my one transport, so be it. I've got 2 fighters waiting for a carrier. I got this transport that can come back, and so we won't lose much ground, much speed on what we're doing, and he'll have nothing left to attack it other than the one bomber that he's going to build. So, you know, if he decides to attack it, I'm comfortable with that. Main thing is I wanted to get all my defenses into here against the German hit and strike. So we've got 11 infantry, 1 tank, and 6 planes in here. Odds supposedly are, I'm pulling it up because I did calculate this one. Supposedly, if he takes it 2 rounds to the Japan, it's going to be really bad, but there is a 11% chance he survives and takes it at a minus 55 IPC. If he went all the way through with it and had an average result, all 6 fighters should still be living, and that's the important part, because I want my 4 fighters to be able to hit these 2, and my 2 fighters to be able to hit these 2, and my Navy ready to hit. So now he could build a destroyer blocker here and then move these guys. Oh, you know what? I was thinking about. So, anyways, he could put a destroyer blocker and tuck the Navy into one of these, but then UK will be able to hit with a destroyer, fighters, and come back on up here, and then that frees it up for the US then to wipe them out, because Japan can't reinforce them at all. So it'll be a can opener. He can't really use a destroyer blocker to do anything. The thing that I want to look at is, and I'll double check it, if I had taken this, then I was thinking about putting one of my destroyers into C-Zone 15 so that he can't grab these and attack. And it still may be worth it so that he can't take them and attack Caucasus with it, make him bring, you know, these guys down and enough to cover them, because I do have a stack going here as well. It also would protect Egypt. It may be worth me putting it here. I just need to make sure I don't lose my odds on the fleet. So I'm not going to stay here and keep the game rolling. Just keep an eye out. I may or may not put a destroyer in C-Zone 15. If I put the destroyer there, then he can't use these guys to attack anywhere. He can only move them non-combat. So most likely, I would think he would attack Caucasus and then bring them in non-combat up to move these 4 guys up to Caucasus to get them over. He may bring them down, and this is why I might not do it, because he could just bring them right back down into Transjordan, right? Which would be a pain in the patooey. So, because I don't have the ability to keep stacking here and attack there and whatnot. Anyways, just keep an eye out. I might do that. For now, though, I'm going to go ahead and cut the video. And oh wait, almost forgot. What did I end up having? So I killed his 5, I lost my 1. So this is what my current spreadsheet is looking like. Just to kind of give the update on this, since we're at the end of a turn. So notice this turn, with all that Persia, as the dust settles, we are recuperating and recovering back from that turn. We're regaining, hopefully with us having the money advantage. We'll continue that, and if we can keep Persia plugged and hold Africa for a while, hopefully we can get it to the point where he can't overcome it. He did do, I forgot, he did do a bombing raid, by the way. He did hit India with a bomber, so I do got to start dealing with that. And I imagine I'm going to start dealing a lot with bombers hitting my factories. So that could be a factor too. If he gets good luck on the bombers, that could be an issue. You know, and the more I think about it, if I had taken this, then I think I would have used a destroyer block. But the more I think about it, because he can just non-combat into here and be just as pain of a rear, and he can non-combat into here just as well as attack there. I don't think it's really that much bonus. So I'm just gonna let it go. Granted, he can, get this guy. We're going to be having our one, and we'll have all this air, and so we'll see what we do about it. But man, I just kind of like having that destroyer to be able to soak up the hits when I do go for the fleet, instead of having to rely on all the fighters getting hit and whatnot. So let's see. We had one less destroyer. That would mean we would have, hopefully we're going to have 4 fighters, 2 bombers, 2 subs, 2 destroyers, and save the carrier, because I want to save the carrier. Versus his 2 battleships. So he would have 8 hit points. I'd be sitting in 10 hit points, even with just 2 destroyers. So it should still be an easy kill. You know what? Rather than him being able to put, because if he took these 4 infantry and hit right here, I'd only have 1 infantry in my air, and my air is going to be attacking his fleet. So that would be annoying, and it's going to be a while till I could get over there to combat it. So I think I am just going to take one of these destroyers to prevent him from hitting Egypt and stacking Egypt. I'd rather him put him here where I could hit him and pull back at the same time, and then just get to dead zoning Persia. Alright, so that was a lot of talking there. These subs, that was the other thing I was hoping I would take this so that I can have my subs here, and next turn slide them in, and that's when I was going to use that destroyer block so that he couldn't block the Suez, and I could slide them on in there. I'm still going to get them over here. I want to get them into the Suez, or into the Mediterranean, as soon as possible. Alright. Da-da-da-da-da. Yep, I think that's it. So this transport and 1 infantry, he'll grab that one, and go back to 36. And so then that leaves 2 here for 1 transport, 4 here for those 2, 2 more units for them. That leaves me my tank and my fighters. Don't think I want to put my tanks in there though. So let's come back. And let's put one of the tanks in here. And one of the tanks in here. Tank here so they could go here, here. Did I not take him off? Oh. And the whole reason there is because this spot is very susceptible right now to bomber, just straight bomber runs. And if I put 2 tanks there, it very well may be worth him hitting it with bombers. So, 3 bombers, 2 tanks. Well, that's not too bad actually, now that I think about it a little bit closer. 3 bombers, 2 tanks. It's likely to kill him. I maybe get 1. Kind of an even Steven. I'm just going to go this way. Tanks can catch up. Infantry can get moving. Yeah, we're going to go that route with it. So, with that being said, since I didn't stop the video earlier, let it do its thing here. We'll pull up the actual official one here, and so we're at a 12-point attack advantage. He's got 58-29, so that's what, 87 coming in. I've got, look at that. So US is matching Germany, 58-58. UK is outproducing Japan by 8. So that's the income difference. That's the Africa difference, right? Is that income. And let's look. Attack power. Japan is slightly stronger than the UK, but the US is outpacing Germany right now. So this is looking on the Allies' favor to a degree right now, but this is far from a one game by any means. So there we go.